live yet? Oh, yes, we are, ladies and gentlemen. If you don't know who I am, my name is Kyle Meyer. Thank you for joining me. I am here in a new space. Wow. Could you believe that today? Oh, by the way, if anything is weird with the stream, jump in the chat. Let me know. I'm reading everything in the chat. I'll try to respond. If I don't respond, yell at me. I deserve it. If I do respond, respond back. This is a conversation. Let's talk to each other. Let's keep the conversation going. And speaking of which, yeah, I mean, the stream looks good. It looks okay. I'm still learning. New setup. But yeah, let's see if we can do this. Anyway, I'm going to show you some of the photos we're going to be editing today. Let me just switch on over. Let's go here. There we go. Now you can see, hopefully. Hovard says, hey, Kyle. Hey, Hovard. How are you doing? Welcome to the stream. Let me know, Hovard, if anything is off, if anything sounds weird. But yeah, if the music is too loud, if I'm too loud, if the music is too quiet, so on and so forth. So here's the photos. I took all these photos after the pop-up workshop. If you guys were at the pop-up workshop, thank you very much for joining. We spent some time in the rain, on and off rain, shooting a Porsche 911 992 in Gentian Blue. I like the way that sounds. Hopefully you do too. Sebastian, editing along with you. That is good to hear. Thank you, Sebastian, for being here, and thank you for being at the actual pop-up workshop, man. I'm excited to see your photos. You were one of the few ones who got to see how these photos were made. So let me just run through the photos real quick. This is going to be our hero shot. The music's so loud in my ears. Is it loud for you guys? Or usually it's pretty quiet for you guys. But yeah, just let me know. So here's the first. Here's the wide shot. Side on. Straight. Parallel. Everything seems to be working as it should. Thank you, Hovard. Thank you very much. This shot was parallel just to get the silhouette of the car. If it wasn't raining so much, I would have put the top down, and I think it would have looked a little bit cooler, but rain is not super conducive to car interiors. So, yeah, we're going to be combining a few photos to make the ultimate photo. This will be our main starting point. We'll use this. We might use this even. We got a little bit creative. Roger, good to see you. Thank you, Roger, for being here. Loyal as always. My dude. Roger, I expect to see you at the next pop-up workshop. Then we have this close-up of the badge. Look at the water. Super clean. Lots of fun lights. And if you have fun lights just off camera, kind of bouncing through the water, you get these really cool highlights in the water, droplets. Super, super rad. Then we did an interior shot. Look at that, huh? Pretty simple. Just door open, shot into the car. The complicated part was the lighting and the water being on the windows. Kind of cool that you get to see a little bit more of the water all over the car. You kind of see how drenched it is, but how cozy and dry the interior is. I kind of like that. I like the contrast. I think it's cool. Speaking of contrast, red, blue, light, dark, quite a lot of contrast in here. So I'm going to be combining this photo with this photo. We're going to see what we can get. And then the last photo is this detail of the back of the car. I'm going to show you how to save some of these highlights. And yeah, I mean, where should we start? We got a lot of opportunity, a lot of options. Let's start with this one. So I'm going to explain this photo real quick. I brought these light tubes so we could use them to sort of add some color. They're continuous, so everybody could be shooting at once. The whole idea behind the pop-up workshop was that we would get as many car enthusiasts and photographers, and people are just interested in being around some cool people making some magic. And we were all going to shoot the same car. And this was the car we ended up shooting. It's Porsche, brand new Porsche 911 992 in Gentian Blue. And I think it's beautiful. It's badass. Super fun car to drive, and I like the shapes. And the color really, really pops if you get some light on it. So if you see, this is the first photo, just to add some light around the silhouette. If you're shooting photos with flash, if you're shooting photos with external lights at all, the goal is to sort of shoot one light at a time. If you're not shooting one light at a time, you're going to get overwhelmed. So this was the first light that we shot with, the ambient light. I just turned them on full blast, put them on 2 different colors, one clean for the front, one red to sort of accentuate the tail light in the back, which is super special on these cars. And then the goal was to fill it in. And fill it in we did with a flash ProPhoto B10 Plus. You see all this rain up here in the corner. Pretty special. Pretty light rain. Pretty cool. Mats, looked so fun on the workshop, dude. Mats, I expect you to be there on the next one. Tom says, I got a light tube, but seems like I need a Porsche in my life as well. Yes, you do, Tom. And you can do a lot with just one light tube. We had 4 of them. Well, 5. One refused to work because these are Chinese-made plastic piece of shits. But with just one, you can easily take this photo. You just need to take about 4 different photos and combine them. I'll show you some tricks on how to combine them here in a sec. So we put the flash. I just wanted one flash, kind of one main one, and then we'll fill in some of the back with this flash. A little bit harsh, maybe a little bit too much, but let's see if we can save it. Kirsten says, I wish I had a light tube. That's a familiar last name in the chat. Thank you, Kirsten, for jumping in. Glad you're here. And then this one, we put the flash in the photo, almost, just to sort of make some of this light pop, to get some context to the weather. I don't know how much we're going to use this, but let's give it a try. So let's start by getting rid of all the Oh, hey, look at that. I think I've already done it. You enable profile corrections on the lenses here in Lightroom. I only use Lightroom and Photoshop. And in doing this, we are sort of getting rid of the vignetting. You can see before and after. Before, every lens has some sort of imperfection. So you see the dark corners. There's some distortion from the barrel. This gets rid of that, or at least attempts to. So let's highlight all of these photos. And then we're going to right-click them and edit in. And we're going to open as layers in Photoshop. And what that's going to do is it's going to take all these photos and open them in one file in Photoshop. And that's going to make it so that we can combine all those layers, or at least the best parts of all the layers, into one photo that we can then color correct. So everything starts to fit and suits perfectly. I shot all these photos with more or less the same settings. Whoa, got a little complicated there. More or less the same settings. More or less the same white balance. Same everything. Mats, Myers gang. Yes. At least 2 of us. So, here we go. Let's see. Let's give the computer at least 10 minutes to open all these photos because it is slow, as always. I need to get a better streaming computer. Has anybody tried streaming on anything but a MacBook Pro? I need some tips. Okay, cool. So we're here. Now we can organize these photos a little bit. I like to drop, so this photo, all I need from this photo basically is the headlights and the taillights. That's all it's really good for. So I'm going to drop that here at the bottom. This is our main shot. And then this is the fill light. So we're going to start with these. All you need to do, you need the new MacBook Pro with the M1 Max chip. They keep trying to sell me the stuff, and it never seems to get faster because streams keep demanding more quality and more pump and more aggressive computer stats. And I swear if I get a new computer, I'm going to want to stream in 4K, and I'm going to want to stream at 120 frames. It's just going to be not enough for the new computer. I want to go big. I want a super fast computer. So let's take this top layer, and then let's lighten it. And what that's going to do is it's going to let all the light in the layer below it that isn't in the first photo shine through. So that's going to give us this bright ass end of the car. But like I said earlier, I think it's too bright. And I think what it does to the ground is kind of distracting. A way you can check that is if you turn off that layer. So you see it reflects quite a lot off the car and lights up the ground. So I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is hit Alt and add layer mask. And that's going to black out the entire photo. So now if I want to bring any parts of that photo back, I can brush it in with the color white. See? Just like that. Not too difficult. So I don't want that much. So I'm going to take the brush's capacity, or opacity, not capacity, down to, let's go 25%. And I'm just going to brush in slowly. The problem with this is that you're going to start to get a little bit of gray, because you're still going to let that black kind of overpower some of these lights. If that makes sense. It didn't make sense to me, so I don't blame you for not being able to keep up on that one. I think that's a pretty decent place to leave it. I don't think I would do too much more. So we're going to go there. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, then we're going to enable this bottom layer. And we're going to take this and we're going to lighten it as well. And this one is our taillight and headlights. So once again, we're going to hold, get out of here. We're going to hold Alt and we're going to hit the layer mask. And that's going to allow us then to only brush in what we want to brush in. And that is, for me, oops, I want to go 100% now. That is for me, this taillight. And then this headlight. This headlight is a little bit, I can also see they're a bit mismatched as well. So I didn't change anything about where the camera was. So I must have somebody must have been in the car and weighted down. So I'm just going to bring it down to there. And now they're lined up. And now I think we're good enough. And then once again, I'm going to lighten this layer. And then you're going to see a huge change now when yeah, there you go. So now this photo kind of ruins everything. I'm going to do the same. And let's see, how much do I want to bring in? Now I'm going to do this by adding a gradient, a linear gradient, just from the top. And that really messes things up. So this we want to be really careful with. Let's bring the opacity down to 10%. Let's try the same from the top corner. I think that's plenty. I don't think we need more than that. Let me just try a little bit more. No, I like that. I like where it is. I think that makes sense. I think that's perfect. Now you can go back through the layers, turn them on and off, and find stuff that you want to keep and don't want to keep. So I think I'm pretty happy with where everything is. So I might leave it there. I'm going to hit Command S and save it just before we do anything else. So while we're saving, let's talk to chat. Mott says, you don't necessarily need a sick PC to stream if you edit on the Mac and stream on another computer, but you should get a dope ass PC anyways. Can I stream? I probably asked you this before, Mott, but can I stream from a PC and edit on a Mac? Is there a way that's possible? Because that would be dope. I think that'd be the way to do it, because then I can play mad games when nobody's around. Mats also says, the rain looks so cool in that flash. I think so too. I like it. I think it's part of the story. I think the rain needs to really shine. I think when I'm creating an image out of multiple images, I think it's important to keep the story involved. And I think part of the story is where the light's coming from, which is why I like to show light sources, and also the weather. So if the car is wet, you need to see that it was getting wet somehow. Sebastian says, use the capture card. You see, now you're speaking French to me. HDMI out from the PC, you edit on. Okay. And I guess that makes it possible. Yeah, just run the HDMI through the PC. Mott says, okay, these are things I got to take notes on. And Mott, next time you're in the office with me, you got to explain this to me, because maybe it's time to invest. Anyway, I like where we're at. Now it's time to... one thing, you see, this is blown out. This is a problem to me. So let's see, where's that coming from? That's coming from the second layer. Let's see if we can just brush out this super blown out part. That might be possible. So I don't care if it just goes back to black. I don't think it'll look super out of place. Let's see if we can do that. So I'm just going to draw a bunch of little lines and hopefully it makes a smooth curve. we go. That's a good start. How's everybody doing? The chat is a little too focused on, and that's my fault. Maybe a little too focused on how to make the stream run faster. It's getting a little bit nerdy in there. Okay. Let's bring it back to how your guys' day was. That's an okay place to be. I don't think this is super flattering as well, but I don't know how much I can do about that. From here, at least. Let's try to brush back in. No, you see, that's just going to make it black and strange. So, this is what we're working with. I think we're at a pretty good spot. So, I'm going to group all these. Oops. Now, you know what? What I'm going to do is Shift, Alt, Command, E. And that's going to create a new layer with all the visible stuff from the bottom layer. And I'm going to group that. And that's going to be just kind of back up. If I want to go back to that, I will just turn off this layer and go back and fix it. But for now, I'm pretty happy with where we're at. Let's go in and clean up some of these things in the background. I think lights like this are a bit distracting. So I'm going to click J, use the patch tool, and I'm just going to patch them out. Although, apparently, I'm not killing it too hard in the patch game. There we go. You got to highlight quite a lot around it. Person says, day's good. Working away right now, snacking on some popcorn as I watch your stream. How's your day, Kyle? It's been pretty good. I finally have a chance to edit and stop thinking about work. There's been a lot of work in the past month, 2 months, 3 months. So being able to hang out, listen to some music, and edit copyright-free music, but whatever, is a luxury right now. So let's try to push through this because I'm guessing this isn't the most interesting part of your viewing. How loud is the music? Usually the music's pretty soft. In my headphones, like, I'm struggling to talk over it. But I know from your guys' point of view, it's probably pretty quiet. What was that little green thing you just made disappear? It was probably some sort of light in the background. I shot this at f1.4, I think, just because my light or my lens, if you guys were there, you know this. If you weren't there, let me explain. My lens has some water in it, and because it's a vacuum, I can't evaporate the water. There's no air to get rid of it. I don't know how it got in there. It just is. So when I shoot at f1.4, I get these kind of cool reflections off the water, and just want to keep it. So I'm going to get rid of some of this distraction down here. This might be a little bit tougher, but let's get brave and just highlight the whole thing. And let's go step by step. We're not going to do the whole thing at once. And that's already pretty good, actually. So I'm going to use the clone stamp and just straighten out this metal thing. I swear that's the song. That sounds like it's blowing out your speakers. It's not the actual speakers. Cool. So I'm going to do the same for here. Just one step at a time. Take it easy. If you have a lot of time, there are better ways to do this. Oh my God. Maybe not. That worked perfectly. Cool. So pretty good with that. Let's get rid of some of the details on the car. We're going to do the same thing. Now, one of the risks you run while doing this on the car is that there are a lot of smooth gradients on the car. You want to try to match the gradients. Otherwise, Photoshop will just blur everything out and it doesn't give you any texture in the spot it replaces. So just be a little strategic. I'm going to go a little bit fast here just because I don't want to bore you guys too much. Because this isn't the most interesting part. You want to see me play with colors and gradients and things like that. Sebastian says, William and I drove the 996 together and Henrik and Lucas in Lucas's Skyline, home from the workshop. Good thing no police were following along. Lucas's RV25 is so loud. Dude, I'm so stoked people showed up with cars. I'm so pumped people showed up with cars, and not only cars, but fun cars. I love the GT3 style aero kit on your 996. I think that's back when wings were fun. Now they're just flat and functional. Yours is back when they were goofy and artistic, and I think that is cool. And I can imagine you guys were hauling ass on the way home. That RB25 is rad too. That thing is sick. That Skyline's gonna look cool when he's done. And that color, Mamba Green. Showed up in a left-hand drive, like OG Skyline. I don't know much about Skylines, but am I right in thinking that that Skyline is the first? Am I? I'm an idiot. I'm illiterate when it comes to Skylines. Let's see what we can do with this headlight. I know we're not going to be able to fix this, but let's give it a try. That's not so bad. It kind of goofed up the line of the headlight. So let's use the clone stamp and try to just straighten it out. And this is the problem with clone stamping curves, is it never goes right. So the less you do, typically, the better results you get. Then you have problems like this. If you try to clone stamp with 100% opacity, you just get dark spots. So let's take the opacity down to, let's say, 40%. And let's just try to make it a little bit less visible. That might be too much. That's going to be good enough. It's a mess if you look closely, but it's not meant to look closely. I think R33, so the second one. See, I'm learning. I'm learning about Skylines. Who would have thought? Let's do the same with this. Let's add some color back into this super bright overexposed patch. I'm just going to take this opacity up to 50%. I'm going to take a sample of the color that I want, and I'm just going to try to do it smoothly. And as soon as I do that, I end up screwing up the darks here in this spot. Let's just take it easy. Let's go further down in the opacity. I think I'm only going to make this worse, but I'm willing to go down with this ship. It looks like shit. It looks terrible. Let's go back to clone stamp and see if we can fix that. I don't think we can. I think for the sake of the stream, let's just move on with our lives and accept that that part looks like shit. Yeah, if I had all the time in the world, it'd be better. I promise. Okay, cool. So I'm going to hit Command S. We have a photo. Now we have a photo. I think contextually, I like the way the photo is built. I like the way the light is hitting all the parts of the car. I think it's a good... I think it's in a good place. Now it's time to edit. So I'm going to save it. I'm going to go back to Lightroom. I'm going to do some color correction, and then we'll go back to Photoshop afterwards to really make it pop. Yes, we're doing it. We're live streaming again. What a time to be alive. Thank you for being here for this. What do you think of the new setup? It's special. My light's going to turn off any second now. I know it. But until then, let's enjoy it. I'm going to start putting some stuff on the wall. But what do you guys want on the wall? Like, what do you think I should do? I was thinking about printing out a bunch of little pictures and just peppering the wall with them. But I'm not so sure. Kind of want to keep it clean. So, photo's a little bit dark. Let's brighten it up. Let's get these highlights going. You know what? Let's try something. I kind of like that it's a little bit dark. I'm going to darken it a bit later. I think the exposure right now is good for the background. Let's play with the new Lightroom features. So we'll go into mask. Let's try the new select subject feature and see how smart it really is. If I click select subject, will it select the car or will it select something else? Like, that's like cheating. That's cheating. Are you using the Sony as webcam? Yes, I am. My webcam right now is the Sony A7R III. That is what I'm using. So now that we have that selected as a mask, I'm going to bump the highlights. And you see when I change the highlights, it only changes what's on the car. How crazy is that? Shadows kind of flatten the car, so let's stick to what we know. I see the hotspot getting brighter. I'm going to bring it back. I promise you. Let's add a little bit of punch to it. Some clarity. Maybe some dehaze. It's going to darken it, but I think it gives it a little bit of punch that it could use. Timmy Turner says neon signs are dope. Dude, I wish Oslo had more of that. I'm so jealous of photographers in places like Southeast Asia or Japan who really get to play with like street lighting. Here we have to fake it ourselves. But hey, I'll take what I can get. I think that's a good place to be. I'm going to add a brush and I'm going to go in manually and bring out some of the highlights again. I'm going to leave it pretty high on the flow, pretty high on the feather, high on the density. I don't know what that means. What is density? Is that a new thing or am I just an idiot? And I'm going to bring out the shoulder all the way up to where the hot spots are. Just going to paint. I'm also going to do the side skirts because we want some contour in the car. We're going to hope auto mask selects just the side skirts. I'm going to click it once and then shift and click and highlight the whole thing. Highlights, whites, get some punch. Maybe exposure a bit. I want to be a little bit careful. So let's go there. And then I'm going to add one more brush, even though it's going to kill my computer. And this one, I want to bring back the hot spots on the front and back of the car. So I'm just going to tap. I think that's a good place to be. Can I use the same brush for the back? Yeah, whatever. Good enough. Cool. So we're here. We're in a good place. I'm pretty happy with it. Let's do some radial gradients on the wheels and let's get the wheels popping. Just gonna do highlights and whites. And then let's get rid of some of the saturation. Pretty good place to be. I think the front wheel's fine. It's good enough. Okay, cool. So I'm happy with this. Now I'm going to do a bit of a risky maneuver. This one might cost us a few decades or whatever the quote is from Interstellar. I'm going to open it back into Photoshop, but this time with my Lightroom adjustments. Let's see what everybody's talking about. Timmy, neon signs are dope. Yes. Agreed. Sebastian, dude, the subject mask is just insane. It is, man. It is. It's like cheating. I think density is opacity. That's good to know. But how is it any different from flow or any of those other things? They're all the same to me. Okay, cool. So now let's start playing with the colors. Let's get a color that we want. Let's take one of our trusty colors, blue steel. Zoolander reference for you. Opacity all the way up, and let's just paint the whole photo blue, and then let's soft light blend it back. Pretty dark. We'll go down to 0 and we'll work up from there and see where we want to keep it. There goes my light. Let me turn that back on. Okay, it's on again and I'm back. So, where was I? Yes, soft light blend. I think that's pretty good. I'm not going to mess with it too much. Let's add some more punch to this light from the top corner. I'm going to do a radial gradient. I'm going to take a sample of a color up here, preferably a pretty light one. I'm just going to lighten it. Let's do that. And so there's a few things we can do here. Either we can screen blend it, which sort of softens it out, makes it brighter. Or we can color dodge it, which gives it punch. Linear dodge, a little bit more like screen, kind of softens it, fills in some of the darks. Soft light, which darkens it, adds a lot of punch. Before and after. I kind of like color dodge, it adds some brightness. And I'm going to take that and stretch it further. So I'm going to hold shift, grab this, and just stretch it all the way across. I think that's pretty good. So now the reds, I want a bit more red to shine through. And after I add all these, I'm just going to move the blue one all the way up to the top so the blue covers the adjustments that I've added as well. I'm just going to do a full Big Daddy linear gradient. And I'm going to go all the way as red as it gets. I'm going to go straight across. Let's go even more. Perfect. Soft light. Pretty dramatic. I think it hits the sky a little bit too much. So let's mask it out. There we go. I want the sky to be cold. I don't want the sky to be red. Once again, I'm going to pull this all the way up to the top, and then it should blend everything in a little bit better. I'm going to add one more blue gradients. Let's go with blue steel. Down here to the bottom, darken it up. And soft light blend it. A little bit too much contrast, too much saturation. I think that's decent enough. Cool. So we're looking good. From here, there's a ton you can do. We can add some direction to the headlights. So we can hit L, pull up the polygonal lasso tool, draw out kind of where the headlights would point to. There you go. Now just that is selected. So now when we add something like one of these bad boys, it just hits that little area. Let's do a little bit more. Perfect. Let's deselect it. Looks like shit. We'll go and filter, blur, Gaussian blur. It opened it on the wrong screen. Let's just leave it like that. Let's leave it super soft. And then we'll, let's see, we have a couple options here as well. Color dodge, maybe the most subtle. Linear dodge. Screen is probably the softest. Let's do color dodge. I'm going to hit it with the mask, and I'm just going to mask it into a shape that I think is a little bit more appealing, a little bit sharper. It is so tough to see that I'm doing anything right now. If you want to check to see that your work is actually working, you can go to something like screen and just sort of play with it from there. And Porsche headlights typically don't come from one source. Sometimes they have that really cool, like 4 dots. Let's try to mimic that a little bit. Oops, that was the wrong way. There we go. Back into the mask. Click here, hold shift, and we'll click here at the beginning. We'll do a smaller one. There you go. Now we have 2 streams, very subtle rather than 1. Back into color dodge, and we'll push that underneath. So before, after. Just a bit of a hint of light. I think it brightens up the headlight a bit too much. Let's try to just brush that out a little bit. There we go. Cool. So Command S to save it. And then we're going right back in the Lightroom again. A lot of back and forth for photos like this, at least in my style of editing. See, Holvard says, got myself some dinner. I'm back. Looking good so far. I'm jealous, man. I want dinner. Glad you're back. Glad you didn't get lost in the cooking. One thing I should do is get rid of the dry spots underneath the car, because it kind of ruins the illusion a bit. But let's not let perfection get in the way of good enough. I think could be brightened a little bit more, and then I think we're good. Flatten it out a little bit. There we go. Now we have a photo. 3. So let's go and see what we did. Let's take a look at our work. This is the original. Basically, at least it's the hero one. We combined a couple more photos, a couple more exposures, a couple more elements, and eventually ended up with this. It's not a far cry from where it started, but I think it looks good. It adds quite a lot of punch. It's a little bit more poppy. One thing I don't like is the orange in the wheels. There's a big old orange light behind us. I don't know if the yellow qualifies. I don't think so. I wonder if the orange will hit the lights. Yeah, it does quite a bit. So whatever. I'm just going to deal with it. It is what it is. I'm happy there. Cool. So on to the next one. Which one do we want to do? Let's do this. The badge. Let's do the badge. First of all, let's go back to full face camera mode. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, once again, I'm back. If you don't know who I am, if you just joined the stream, if you're just somehow joining here on the YouTube video, I'm Kyle. I take photos. That's what I do. That's all I got. Okay, back. Here we go. Good to have you back. So let's go here. And this one's already edited. Okay, don't mind it. Let's click reset. Don't worry about that. Pretend that never happened. Here's the original. Cool. So we're starting here. It's dark. That's the first thing that annoys me. So after I enable profile correction on the lens, you see it helps quite a bit. The 51.4, especially at 1.4, has quite a lot of vignetting, but I'm happy with it. So up in terms of brightness. Now, if we go any brighter with the exposure slider, we're going to end up with kind of an overexposed area down here, and it's going to distract from the badge. So what I'm going to do from here is use a radial gradient and brighten it up from the middle. So exposure, and I'm going to go from here. I think this is the way to do it. There we go. There's not too much color in that badge, is there? What happened to all that yellow? Let's add some saturation back there and back in the oranges, and that's going to hit a little bit. It's not great. We might have to just brush it in ourselves. Probably shouldn't be the first thing that I worry about, but... Wait. Oh, yeah. I forgot how this works for a second. Sorry about that. Let's add some saturation, some warmth. Let's go back. And let's hit the badge and just manually put some of that gold back in. That's what we like to see. If you're curious as to how this photo was shot, I had a red light up here, and then I had a blue light or a clean white light down here, I think, and together they made this. Not too complicated. That's pretty cool. Cool. So let's go into the reds. Let's bump those up in terms of saturation, because I like the way it hits not only the droplets, but it also, by happenstance, hits the badge, and I think that looks good. Let's brighten it a bit. That's pretty good. Then let's take the saturation and just bump that up all together and give us a really fun, kind of vibrant, colorful photo. I like where we are. I like where we are. Mott says, what do you like the most about the Porsche logo? I like the horse. I don't know. What do I like the most? It looks a lot like the Maryland flag because it's got this European crest vibe to it. So that's what I like the most. There you go. Figure that out. Blues, I think you can add a bit more brightness in the blues, a bit more punch. Actually, you know what? The thing I like best about the Porsche logo is that it's attached to a car. And not only a car, but the best car. So take that. How's that for a boring answer? It's a little bit purple. Maybe that's good. Gentian blue is kind of a purplish blue. It's not really a typical Porsche blue. So let's keep that. Okay, Command E, and let's open it in Photoshop. And let's check in on the chat. Everybody's good? How we doing? We vibing out there? Everybody liking the music? Cool. Nice. All right, we're back. Let me know what you guys think of the stream, how it could be better, so on and so forth. One thing I do want to do is add more direction to the red light. I think the red light needs to be a little bit more accentuated, so I'm going to take a radial gradient. I'm going to take the color red. We already have it up here. I'm just going to pull it from the top corner, and I'm going to drag it super far into the photo. So there, I'm going to soft light blend it, And that gives us a way stronger source of red light from the top corner. I don't really want to do that from the blue. I can try it, but you can see pretty fast why that kind of oversaturates and just makes it a little bit, oops, wrong color. Makes it a little bit toyish. And this is a serious machine. I think it doesn't really add saturation, actually. I think it just darkens it. I don't think it does too much. So I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to lower this opacity a bit just so it doesn't hit as hard. And you know what? There's not much more I want to do to this. I'm going to get rid of this really strong distracting hotspot down here. And just pick a spot up here that it can match. Oops, I did that wrong. Got to be a little careful with this adding patterns to the photo because people start to recognize that. Let's call that good enough. It's not perfect. Let's hit Command S. We're going back in. Kari is in. The Myers. We are all in this. Good to see you guys in the chat. Chat is lively. There's another Meyer. We are cruising. The whole Meyer gang's here. There's a lot of focus on the Myers. Love the elevator music. Timmy, it's all I got. It's all I got. I think we have a mom too. As far as I can remember. We do. Cool. I'm going to give that a 3. I'm not going to do anything else with that because I think that looks good. Let's go to the original. Let's see where it started and where we're at now. So this is where it was in the beginning. Bit dark, bit strong, bit punchy. We just sort of brightened up the places that I think need to be brightened up, made it fun, a little more bubbly. I like that. I think that's pretty. Pretty cool. So, here we go. Moving on. Interior photo. This is where it gets tricky. I love the conversations in the chat. I like that you guys are chatting with each other. This isn't just about me. I'm a big fan of you guys continuing the conversation among yourselves. This is good. This is good. So, first things first, I'm going to, all right, I already have lens correction for this one. I haven't edited these photos. No, okay, we're good. So, there's a subtle difference between these two photos. It's very subtle. This one was shot without a flash, just the colorful lights, and basically just to get this super clean dashboard. So we have the 911 Carrera 4S. We've got the range for some reason. We've got, sorry, the silhouette of the convertible, looking good. The time, 911. Oh! I didn't notice that until now. This photo was shot literally at 911. That's fantastic. That's awesome. I had no idea. That's incredible. That is luck. That is extreme luck. Cool. So let's highlight them both and combine them by opening them as layers in Photoshop. My mind is still blown that this was shot at 9/11. I'm getting a phone call. Don't mind it. Moss, dude, that is sick. How crazy is that? What are you doing down there? Come on, Photoshop. Come on, get out of here, Doc. All right, cool. So, God, that's... To me, that's like accidentally dropping a bowling ball and hitting a strike. So we can do this two ways. We can either move this one down to here and let this photo with a flash come through as our main photo. I think that's the way to do it. And then when I click lighten, you should see just these two or these dashboard lights come up. So let's go to lighten, and there you go. I've turned on the dashboard. Easy as that. Pretty simple. Mott's just working and chilling with the stream. That's good to hear. Mott's is a productive man. He's got a lot to do.
You know who you are and what you want.
Who's talking to me?
The less you let.
I don't need you preaching. Not during the live stream. I know who I am. Okay, cool. So we're in a pretty good place. Is there anything else I need to do here? Or should I just start working with colors? You know what? instead of going back in the Lightroom, let's start playing around in here. So, hey, Doc, get out of here. Let's add some direction to this light and some punch. I'm going to take the Radial Gradient. I'm going to make it big. And let's do a soft light blend. And that's going to add, as you can see, a lot of punch to this light source up here. Now, one of the things I think is cool and helps tell the story is, well, first and foremost, let's add some red from this corner. Because the red lights up the door, but I don't think it lights up the door enough. Let's see if we can make that more obvious. I do on soft light blend here. And then just brushing back in places I wanted to hit more. That might be too much. There we go. That's good. Cool. So let's open a layer. Now I'm going to get a little tricky. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I like to tell the story of kind of light sources and refractions by adding some strange reflections, stuff like that. Oh, yeah. There you go. My whole family is here. Congratulations. We have done it. Let's go to glass reflections. These are a bunch of, I downloaded some of these. I created some of these. It's basically just shooting reflections. Oh my God. Of, sorry, I just have to tell my girlfriend that I am streaming. And there we go. Cool. Apparently she forgot. Exoskeleton 9000. Whoa. That's the coolest name I've ever seen. That's cool. Exoskeleton 9000. Congratulations. You have won the name competition. I didn't know there was one. Okay, so I'm going to choose one of these. These are basically just... That's super loud. These are basically just crazy reflections of glass. And I can go through, push the opacity to 100%. I don't know why it's not showing a preview of them. Let's see if we can unlock that. Nope. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we're here. And we're just going to find one that I think fits. That music got so loud I can't hear myself think. Exoskeleton 9000. It's a joke. What? Nice of you to invite us all to the family meeting, Kyle. I appreciate it. Yeah, Sebastian, I didn't realize that was happening. I like number 8. Let's keep that in mind. Number 8 is a good place to start. Number 8 is great. 10. For the sake of this not being boring. See, I don't remember what they all look like. Let's do number 8. Let's go full size. Let's right in the middle so we can just move it around and none of it gets cut off. Let's bring it down to the bottom here and let's make it even bigger. I think that's pretty good. I think this is the one I actually used on the real photo too. Then I'm going to see it just distracts too much from the interior. So I'm going to start to get rid of it by using the filters or the radial gradient, or I think it's the linear gradient. Yeah, it is. Just a little bit at a time. Don't overdo it because it's going to be hard to get back. So there we go. Now we got that. It's in there. You can screen blend it to make it a bit brighter, soft light it to make it darker, so on and so forth. I'm going to keep it normal and just drop the opacity a bit. And then, just like we did with the main photo, I'm going to paint the whole thing blue. There we go. And that's the photo. Done. No. So soft light blend that. We're going to start from 0. We're going to go up until we like it. We're not just going to commit to 100% right away, even though it's kind of cool. I think 40% might be perfect. All right, Command S, and we're going to save that. We're going to go back into Lightroom. Let's see. Exoskeleton 9000. It's a joke. What are you talking about? Is the name a joke? Explain the joke. I need to be babied when it comes to these things. William, crying, laughing emoji. Glad to have you here, William. You're the man. Thank you for being there for me, especially at the event. That was rad. I'm glad to see so many people from the event here in the stream. Sebastian, you were editing along, weren't you? How's that going? How is that going? I want to see your photos. When are you going to start streaming, Sebastian? So the interior is pretty dark. I want to start by adding a radial gradient to the middle. Brighten it up. Some of the shadows, some of the highlights. Maybe not too much of the highlights because it overexposes the steering wheel. But let's give her some of the contrast, bump up the shadows a bit, and just save some of that. I think that's pretty good. I'm not going to do too much more because I think it's going to be distracting. I think that's pretty good. You know what? I'm not going to do too much more to this photo. I think it looks good. Let's go back to the original and let's see what we did. See, when you're shooting with colored lights, there's not too much you need to do in post because they add the color. At least for my style, I like to keep it a little bit clean. As clean as you can get with all this rain all over the car. Evan, yes, I made it. Evan, you did. Thank you for being here. Not a moment too soon. Definitely not a moment too late. This is the original. This is edited. Just adding a little bit more of a story by adding some of the reflections in the bottom. Who knows? Maybe it's water on the lens. Maybe it's me shooting through glass through another car or something. I don't know. Water on the lens makes the most sense. Let's go with that. And it sort of fills in this dark spot down here with something a bit more interesting. Kind of distracts you from the fact that you can see the light stand in the photo. I think this photo doesn't need too much more. If I had an hour to shoot it, it was raining, so I didn't, and there was no roof. So when I was there, but not raining enough. It was raining plenty. I didn't need it to rain anymore. But glad it wasn't raining enough to scare you away from being there. And I think I'm happy with the way this ended up. There's one more photo. Let's do a really quick grade on that. Lightning round. Pretty simple. This one's not too complicated. We could almost just copy paste this. Should we try it and let's see what happens? Command C to copy. How's the elevator music? Sebastian says, editing is going good. Working on a photo of my car in front of your lights. A lot of nitpicking and self-criticism. Dude. Yeah. I'm holding back. I could go on for hours. I know I just did this, but I'm going to do it again to make myself feel good about myself. I go on for hours about what I don't like about the photos, but hey, we're here. And I don't want to spend hours doing that. You know what? I'm okay with where that ended up. I don't like this. I think it's distracting. Maybe we can get rid of that in post. Whoa. Did you see the difference that made? Raw. Shooting in RAW is, if you're not shooting in RAW, you need to shoot in RAW. Because this, for example, overexposed, the taillight. It's hard to avoid that. It just is overexposed. If you take the highlights and drop them, look at that. That's incredible. Look at the detail RAW saved. That was completely blown out. But just a simple little highlight adjustment, you can bring that info back in. Cool. So I'm happy with that. Let's call it good there. I'm going to brush back in some of the highlights on the logo, on the badge. Let's just use a bit of exposure and a bit of the whites. And let's just go to town. Maybe some of the highlights. Yeah, the highlights were key. Get it? Key highlights, photography joke. Let's just go around. I think that kind of ruins the P and the O. I'm going to leave those the way they are, and I'm going to go and do the badge instead. There we go. So those of you guys who went to Oslo Car Show, how was it? Usually those things aren't super fun. You just walk around and try to network, but because everybody else is networking, you never really accomplish anything. You just shake hands and people are like, yeah, I'll write you later. I'll definitely take your business card, but nothing ever happens. So how'd it go this year? Was it worth it? I'm going to erase Wait a minute. Oh, yeah. Oh, it's all complicated and different now. You got to go this. I'm going to erase a little bit. Stop. Brush. Okay. Flow. I got to relearn how to do all the little things. And just try to blend it in a bit more. Because I like the way that the light sits on the logo here. If I had more time to shoot it, I would have focused a bit more on that, but I think that's okay the way it is. So, I'm cool with the way this is. Let's hit Command E and take it into Photoshop. Evan, I was there for networking, but it was a meh, I feel. Isn't that usually the case? Since everyone is there to network, everybody wants to sell whatever they have, it becomes this, like, look at me competition. And it never really turns into, like nobody honestly calls you back. I mean, they do. Maybe they do. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just jaded. But I just feel like these networking events are just people desperately trying to get more work for themselves, and nobody actually wants to do anything about it. I'm going to get rid of the hotspots on the car. That was the worst way to do that. Sorry about that. A little flick of the wrist. I got to get better at this. You know what? Let's do it by hand. Let's go to clone stamp. Good enough. Sebastian was too hungover to go. Yeah, that's an excuse. That's an excuse. The older you get, the less it feels good saying. When you're young, it feels fine. When you get older, using the excuse I was too hungover to do anything feels like the most painful thing in the world. You start to look at yourself the way other people look at you. And when you're young, people sort of expect it, so it's fine. But when you're older, my God, it feels bad. It's the same with eating a donut at midnight and you saying, well, I was hungry. you start to see the consequences. That's a dangerous one. But I get it. I get it. When you're too hungover, you're too hungover. You're not going to present yourself at your best, and you're just going to be making yourself look bad. So I get it. Let's just get rid of these orange things, even though they show up in the car, and it kind of makes sense that they're there. I don't like that they're there, and I kind of just want to get rid of them. Because we're men, we don't create a second layer. We don't back down. If we make mistakes, we live with them. All right. So, perfect-ish. One thing I would do is get rid of this little pew. I don't like what it does to the photo. I think it distracts a little bit. Let's go a little bit at a time, and hopefully Photoshop is smart enough to keep up. Try to align everything if we can. This is going to have to be a good enough kind of job. There we go. Okay, cool. Good enough. Command S, we'll go back. Oh, there goes the light. One sec. One sec, just going to turn on the light. If anybody has any recommendations as to better lights for streaming with, I am happy to take them because I need one. Roger. No second layer. Yeah, fuck it, Roger. We die like real men. Henrik. Hey, people. Thanks for the pop-up. Kyle, it was rad. See you there next time, Evan. Yes. See, Evan, the people want you there. You got to show up next time. The people want you. Henrik, thank you for showing up. And everybody who was there, thank you for showing up. And everybody who's here for the post-production, thank you for not skipping the boring stuff. That's real cool of you. Real cool of you. Awesome. Next time, I want more cars, more photographers, more cameras, more of everything. So, let's go back through our photos. Here's the first one. Let's go full screen. Why not? Full send. Petition to get Kyle a new light. GoFundMe to get Kyle a new light. How about that? I'd rather not finance it myself. One thing I don't like about this photo already is that it's a bit too pink in the reds. But hey, you only live once, right? Why wasted messing with the pink lights? Evan, definitely. I'm thinking of doing something similar. Are you stealing my idea? Are you stealing my idea? The idea of a car meet that I invented and only me? Andres, you're welcome. I'm only here for the boring stuff. More of the boring stuff. More of this great music. Yeah. Thank you. Glad you could be here. Next time, God willing, I want to see your 911. And I want to shoot the 911. Mott says he's not too stubborn. Anyway, moving on. By the way, Evan, if you do something similar, I will be there. I am that good of a man. And that much better of a man than you. That's right. How dare you skip mine? Details. There we go. Look at this. Badge. Clean. Lots of cool bubbles. Lots of good texture. A lot to really grip your eyes. If this was just gloss and flat and dry, I think it would be cool, but I think this is I think this was pretty good. So, and the last photo, no, we have one more. Sorry. I moved too fast. That's my fault. Oh, this is a bop. Okay, cool. So the last photo, interior, pretty simple. One thing I would do is add some saturation, make it a bit more fun. You know what? I'm going to do that just for the sake of shits and giggles. A little bit of saturation, a little bit of vibrance. Why not? A little bit more vibrance. Let's just match them. Perfect. There we go. There's the interior shot. Now, there it is. Okay, cool. We made it. Pretty good. I like it. A lot of things I would change if I had a lot of time, but I don't want to bore you guys with that. Car photographers need to unite. You know what, Evan? I agree. And on that note, I'm going to pull up full screen mode. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is my face. Full size, live and direct. I'm going to take a water before I go on a rant. Now that I have taken a water, whatever that means, thank you very much for being there, guys. This was sick. I had a really good time at this car photography meet. I think it's cool that we get to learn from each other, that we get to trade secrets, and that the secrets don't really make us too competitive. I saw people there from competing brands. I saw people from Beal Photo, from other photography services, and I saw people who just love to shoot cars themselves, and I'm sure are not only jealous like myself when other people get to shoot cool stuff, but kind of get competitive with themselves when they can't really figure out lighting and so on and so forth. And we only get better at this stuff when we actually confront it. And I think the best part of us teaming up and shooting together and doing these things is that we can share these feelings and realize that we're not the only ones who kind of get these. Amen. Can I get a hallelujah? Yes. Thank you, Henrik. Hallelujah, Sebastian. Thank you for giving him that hallelujah. I think these secrets aren't meant to be held to ourselves. I think once everybody gets better, right? If everybody's led on the boat, then when the flood comes in, we all rise together. What's the saying? The flood raises all ships, something like that. So I'm trying to flood the game. It's enough of me being an idiot. Thank you guys for being here. I'll let you know in good time when the next pop-up workshop is going to be, and some of the things that I am going to improve with the next one. Sony has agreed that they're going to be there, so I will have a bunch of Sony cameras and lenses that you guys can come pick up and try for yourselves. I will bring better lights, I will bring a better setup, and I will pick a better spot. I have one in mind. I'm just going to say it now. I think it's going to be the rooftop that has become so popular in Skyen. It is typically empty. If you don't know where it is, go check it out. It's a rooftop in Skyen in Oslo. It's right next to Kiwi. Drive all the way up to the top. It's usually pretty empty at night. That's the playground. Go up there, bring some lights and play around. It's going to be dope. So we'll do it there. And I want you guys to bring your cars. I want you to bring your friends. And I want you to bring your cameras and ideas. And just like we did last time, we'll swap cars. We won't just shoot the car that I bring. We'll shoot a ton. We'll try different colors, different lights. We'll play around until we get it right. And I will be here to edit live on stream again. If you have edited your photos from the event, please send them my way on Instagram. I want to see. Those of you who've been tagging me, it's so fucking awesome. There's some super cool work, really crazy styles. Henrik, the super muted, like flat darks. I dig it. I think it's a super, super awesome style. Thank you guys for sending me those. Lots of colors, lots of cool stuff. Anyway, I'm droning on too much. If you like this, let me know. This video will be going up right after I hit stop stream, and you'll be able to watch it again and again and again. For now, thank you very much. Go Birds. Go subscribe. Go like. Go comment. Go hit the bell or whatever. Anyway, that's it for me. End stream. Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Peace.